In this video, I'm going to go over how to prepare your step files for 3D printing. The software we're going to be using is Bamboo Studio. I have it started here. The first time you run it, you might go through this wizard. Depending on the version of the software, yours might look a little bit different. I'm just going to go through and get set up. We'll choose we're going to skip this program here, and then choosing the printer. The printer that we have is the X1 Carbon, and so let's just clear all of them and only select the printer that we have. And that'll make it easier in the setup. Also, there are just many different types of material used by the printer. For this class, we're mainly going to be using PLA, and so it might help if we just clear everything and also only choose the Bambu Lab material. And then if we could find the Bambu Lab PLA, you can select that. It's not going to hurt if you have everything, but it makes it a little more difficult to choose those things as we go through the selection process later. And so I'm just going to choose Bamboo PLA Basic. You can choose all of them if you would like, and then just select them later in the screen. But for these parts, we're just going to use a PLA plastic. Go next. We're not able to install any software, so we're going to deselect that and go finish. And you're going to get to a screen like this. Just create a new project. So notice we have the, I'm going to make this larger, we have the printer, the bed. Typically we just choose a smooth plate, and so I'm just going to click that. The diameter of the nozzle is set at 0.4 millimeters, and that's what we're using. Notice that we have the material, and that's all there. That's the only selection. We can always add more later if we decide to print in other things. And then basically we're going to bring the parts into here. And you can just hit add and find the file. I put mine in downloads, and I'm just going to select the spool, go open, and for here we're just going to use all default settings. We can look at some parameters, then you can adjust those, but I'm not going to change any of those parameters, and I'll just hit OK. And it places the part there, and you can move it around on the screen. In some cases we need to rotate the part or flip a certain orientation down. This orientation seems reasonable where we have the flat face of the little spool on the flat plate. But we could print it sideways. It would be printing in a different orientation, and it would need different support material. Sometimes we do that for added strength. We'll talk about that later in a later lesson. So I'm just going to now import the hand crank and open that. Just hit OK. If you don't want to see the screen again, you can just go don't show. And we can orient the pieces just so they're not overlapping. Now, looking at the plate, this particular part has a lot of overhang, and the type of printer we have is a FDM, or a forced deposition modeling. Basically, it builds up layer by layer of heated plastic. And overhangs can cause a problem because as you lay up that plastic, it can start to sag. And so it's good to fill that in with some support material that you can break away later, so that these overhangs like this retain their shape. This piece doesn't need any of those overhangs because there aren't any overhangs, so it won't need any support material. So over here, you can select an advanced tab that just gives you an endless supply of choices. All that we're going to do is keep the quality at default and the strength at default and the speed, but under support we do want to enable the support. And once you have the support material, it will fill in here. And once we have that selected, we have the PLA selected, the printer, the bed, the material, and the support, we can go to slice plate, and it will create the support material here to fill and support this overhang. And then instead of going directly to print plate, we have to export the plate slice file and save it to a USB drive. Unfortunately, these printers are not on the school's network. And then once you have that, there's a different process of going to the printer and loading that part on. And I will show that in small groups.